still closing. Now we have a crash. In turn 3, it's Tony Kanaan, the rookie points leader, who was running 4th at the time, has done serious damage to that race car. Look at the replay. Watch the left side of your screen. Boy, that was heavy.
Tony looked like he was all by himself, just lost it, backed it up into the fence. That fire is nothing to worry about. That was just oil that came down. It was just a flash fire. That is not fuel. It's just a very quick fire. That's why you saw him putting the oil dry down there to keep it from running down on the track so it doesn't.
Oh, Herta comes out, has to stab the brakes for a second. Oh, and now Kanaan in one of the target cars into the barrier coming off the east end. It looks to be Jimmy Vasser.
Yeah, that's the fast corner, turn number 8. Oh, we've got another car in. One of the Penske cars.
That's Tarso. Tarso Marquez comes in there too.
Adrian Fernandez gets through.
The sky actually cleared. We're going to show you a couple of these incidents that started when the rain really began to pour. That's Elio's 5th DNF in the last 6 races, unfortunately for him. And as the rain continues to pour, we're at 41 laps complete under the full course caution. Well, under the rules, at 51 laps, we would have a legally complete race. As yet,
Well, Tony Kanaan, of course, suffered a heavy accident in Detroit some 5 or 6 weeks ago. But despite breaking his left arm and some ribs, he has made a remarkable recovery to be racing here at Michigan this weekend. We caught up with him earlier in the weekend to ask him about it.
He's off the jack. He's going. Terrific job by the Penske team.
And the full course caution, I'm going to guess, is going to come out on this. That's Mimo Gidley right there in his first run.
Yellow, Chris.
It's Zanardi, and it also looked like Max Wilson at the back there. A little hard to tell. Definitely Zanardi and Gidley.
And that would be back in the back of the field. Gidley replacing Nicholas Manassi, and Tony Kanaan involved as well. Very first lap. Crossed yellow flags out at the start-finish line. We do have a full course caution.
Take a look and see what we can do.
But looking around.
You can see Kanaan got off on the outside. Jourdain's through. Gidley tries to go down the right side as Zanardi goes down the left side, coming onto the back straightaway.
From Mimo Gidley's in-car.
So you can see Kanaan off the left side there. He says, all right, I'll go by this way. And as Zanardi hits the other direction, he clips the back of Kanaan. Takes all 3 of them out in one shot. Come down pit lane, now looking for his pit box.
And the yellow light comes out. We've got problems. It's one of the Hollywood cars. Oh, several cars involved.
It looks like possibly Rick Treadway's car right over here. Went to go around traffic, got a little bit high, probably on the marbles, and ended up hitting the wall.
The other car is Tony Kanaan. That was the race leader.
Here he goes down to the center of the turn, a little bit high, probably cold tires and full fuel, and the back end got away from him, and he made impact with the wall by the safer barrier.
So the leader, Tony Kanaan, takes himself out on the 89th lap of running.
Watch the impact there. What a crunch that is, and I can tell you from as a previous driver, there is nothing more disheartening. Know that the car is going to go around. You become a passenger just before you hit the wall.
Here's Dixon. No, they crashed! Both Kanaan and Dixon first and second into the wall. The lead will go over to Scott Sharp.
And Paul, could you see how fast that happened? Just 2 touches of the wheel. Remember, 210, 15 miles an hour going into turn 3 and 4. Watch this. Dixon's getting a draft. He pops out behind Kanaan. He's going to go on the inside. They're both going for the same piece of real estate. And bang, there it goes. It looks like Dixon really just did not get himself going down towards the apron once he got underneath Kanaan. Kanaan needs to be able to turn in right now. Dixon's staying a little high.
Well, a lot of damage to both of those cars. Be some overtime in the shops.
And watch this close call with Tony Kanaan on the inside, 3 rows back.
Whoa!
Oh, just bobbled it.
at over 207 miles an hour, and right behind him in the yellow and red car was Scott Sharp. How he stayed out of it, it'll amaze me.
You think those aren't great hands? Look at that. And Sharp, it doesn't look like he lifted at all, just moved over a little to the right.
Watch the two cars, the both green ones on the bottom there. It gets through there. Not much traction on the grass, guys, I can tell you. I've been down.
Saw side by side Darren Manning and your leader Tony Kanaan into the wall. This is a multiple car collision, Scott. We are just hoping that everyone is okay, and again, a very hard hit on the right side.
What I'm worried about right now, a little bit of oil fire you see there on the right-hand side from Tony Kanaan's car, which he'll put out, but in the middle of all that now. Let's watch again. He's turning into the turn, going underneath Darren Manning. Darren Manning does a great thing, Todd, because he leaves room right there for Tony Kanaan to come through because he knows that Tony is faster than him. But, you know, we've talked about these mechanical things going on right there. I'm not sure if that be necessarily a bearing situation or if it's the right front upright that actually looks like it has actually failed and broke and put Tony Kanaan going in to Darren Manning, the red and white car.
Guys, final pit stop of the day for 26-year-old Sam Hornick, two-time IndyCar champion.
Got to interrupt you because we've got Tony Kanaan crashing. And I'm looking right at the entrance to pit lane, just what we were talking about. It has happened to Tony Kanaan on his entrance to pit lane. He spins it and puts it into the wall.
The inside wall. Let's watch it here. You want to make up as much speed as possible coming in. The back end just comes around, locks it up, runs over the cone where the beginning of the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit is. And Rusty, we've seen this so many times. Here we go. Let's listen. Oh, you know something? He was off the gas, went to get the brake possibly, caught a little bit more gas, and
who is actually 5 laps down, we can tell you, is trying to work his way back up through the field. Look out, there is Tony Kanaan.
Get nowhere to go, guys.
And you were riding on board when it happened.
Again, it looked like the 711 car, Tony Kanaan, got a little bit loose.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And unfortunately, another victim.
Board. Man, this came so fast.
And here, the 711 car in the middle lane going in, just started to get down a little bit lower towards the lower side, down towards the middle turns 1 and 2. Now, yes, the banking does change. Watch the back end of the car start to slide around on him. Then he just becomes a passenger. Unfortunately, the ethanol machine of Jeff Simmons gets taken out the same way that Thomas Schechter got taken out by Dan Weldon.
Meanwhile, the lead is getting a little tighter up front. Take a look as Dan Weldon has the rookie Hideki moved. Oh, the slide by third place. And Tony Kanaan, for the second year in a row at this very track, all alone, goes into the turn 2 wall.
Something you don't see by the veteran from Tony Kanaan very often. Now there is the third car in line going into the turn, and the car just starts to come out as he's entering into the turn. Now, the interesting thing is those two cars that are in front, Marty, he's right behind them. Does he get too much turbulent air off of those, and it just takes the air off the rear wing? We won't know until we get a report from down below. But as a driver, you are always...
But there's an order from pit lane. Scott, here he comes. Oh, no, we have a huge crash. And a second contact. And it looks like it is Tony Kanaan.
That was a big one.
The 711 of Tony Kanaan into the wall hard for the second year in a row. And I don't know what happened in this one, guys, because when we saw it, he'd already made the first contact. Comes to a stop. He is fine. Let's go on board. Just listen in.
Oh, something broke on the car.
Something absolutely broke.
And here's the bad hit.
Absolutely. Nothing to do with the first impact, the second impact that you mentioned. He has no control right now, Eddie. We've both been in that position before. His brakes aren't working. The car's not even on the ground correctly, and he is just up.
Yellow flag, Tony Kanaan spun contact with the safer barriers. Tony Kanaan out in the 11T. Here's a replay on the video boards of Tony Kanaan. Car just snaps around on him. The exit of turn number 1. There's another view of TK. You see him try to correct, but there was no saving this 711 Slurpee machine there. Oh, what a rough month for
We're watching on board with Elio Castroneves now heading to turn number 1.
He's going through the chicane right now, Mike, over the railroad tracks into the rough part, heading down to turn 1. Obviously, Tony Kanaan's going to be behind
Braking zone here, coming up.
Getting ready for the braking zone.
Elio moves to the inside. Now to the outside. Whoa!
Yeah.
So Tony Kanaan literally flew over the top of Elio's car as Elio was braking, Davey, to go into turn number 1.
Right here.
Oh my God!
I'll tell you what, Tony's throttle stuck or something.
Yeah.
Tony hit there was no. Oh my goodness.
That could have been just incredibly devastating. When you see this, fans, you will not believe that Tony Kanaan walked away from this without a scratch.
But when he needed to, didn't
go and crash. Tony Kanaan with less than 10 laps to go. Sixth caution flag of the evening. If on the high side of the racetrack.
See the wiggle.
Yep, just steps out.
That thing looked like it wiggled to the right before it went to the left.
Should be damage to the safer barrier either. Just stay focused. We got one more restart coming. You can do this. I think it's pretty shocking because I think they could have had him with 5 to go.
Which, if that's the case, I would have said
Marty. And guys, that bumpiness playing a bigger factor today, it appears. And a big wreck for TK, Lee.
Whoa, 2 DNFs in a row. On the weekend where it was confirmed that he's off to become a Chip Ganassi team driver next year, he has had a tough one in Texas. This is what happened to TK.
Okay, so he's following Pagano here. Going through a fast lap. It's exactly what happened. So he got right up under the back of Pagano. He lost the front downforce on the wing, got slightly offline, hit the marbles.
You got him going for it on the outside. Light on the brakes. Kanaan forces his way. And he gets him. Sato gets him.
Sato gets into Marco Andretti. Dixon gets through, but there's Tony Kanaan. Big front damage along with Marco Andretti.
Inside is the yellow and black Glad car of Tony Kanaan. Just narrowly touches him.
I mean, Tony Kanaan's all the way up over to the grass and the curb. Newgarden may or may not know that he's there, but you have to expect, if you're Newgarden and you faded to the outside, that somebody's probably trying to fill that gap. So look at Newgarden, pops out here, and then tries to tuck back in. So Kanaan expected that Newgarden was going to rim shot the corner, and Newgarden changed his mind. So, you know, that's a case.
The guys that just left, tires.
Oh, trouble! Kanaan! That was Tony Kanaan into the wall! Hard crash for the former winner.
Oh, goodness. And for a guy that generally makes no mistakes, I wonder if something broke in the car. And as we roll this, you'll see he's down by the white line. Everything looks to be okay, and guys, I gotta tell you, that car just looks like it didn't have enough downforce, maybe a little bit loose on the back end. Now let's ride along here and look backwards. Nothing wrong there, nothing looks off. And just that little bit of a wiggle, Eddie, you know what that's like. The car was just a little bit light mid-turn when it was at maximum G-force. And then the thing started to wiggle, it came away, he did a little correction, you saw the car come back, and then it just releases as it generally does, and this is the second impact. You can see all the damage to the car.
That looked very similar to what Castroneves had. He was getting ready for qualifying. Doc?
Where with Chip Ganassi, and Chip, you've just watched.
Trouble, cars into the outside wall. That's Sebastian Bourdais, and I believe that's Tony Kanaan. It is Kanaan, the other car.
I think what ends up happening here is he's coming along, and he's going to turn around and just start to flare off to the right-hand side, just a small amount. Tony reacts, and the blue and white car goes towards the wall, ends up collecting Sebastian Bourdais. So Sebastian thought that he ended up having an opportunity to maybe go around the outside. He's right along now with Tony Kanaan. Let's watch this. So he thinks he's going to go around the outside. The 9 of Scott Dixon takes his space. And So he's got to go to the left. And you know how quick this is. Remember, we haven't been in the car for a couple of hours here, Eddie. All of a sudden, here we go. Watch this along with Sebastian Bourdais. He's got nowhere to go.
He had nowhere to go, but he could have maybe anticipated the fact.
And there's a car off track, and Tony Kanaan is into the wall hard. Caution at Road America with 10 to go.
And that
Scott
like
Dixon's lead has gone away.
That's at the kink on the back straightaway, the fastest corner, the same spot where Sato was off, and we see this car
and the marbles
is demolished. So
the seatbelt to release.
The side by side. Here we go. Look, he comes out. He's got a run on Rossi.
Oh boy.
Oh, he breaks his front wing off. Then he's got no downforce.
Well, not only does he have no downforce, but he's in the marbles. I don't know if he could have made it, Paul, without contact, as dirty as the racetrack is. Let's watch from on board. Rossi get wide.
Well, you're certainly not going to make it without front wing. That corner is so downforce sensitive. So,
and then fourth last week, and that's Tony Kanaan into the barrier.
Well, he's going to keep going. Hopefully they can get that starter. 3 minutes and 18 seconds right now. Luckily there's a safety truck right there. Hopefully it was watching on. Out of the pits.
Pit lane.
Cold tires, leaving the pits. Gets on it and loses it out of the pit lane. Luckily, no parts on track, no suspension damage. You don't need the wrecker. They just need to get him started, Townsend. The clock.
The orange and blue Honda, there it is there. That's Dixon. Oh, there was contact in the middle. Rosenquist, around goes Pato O'Ward. And a big contact head on with one of the ABC cars, one of the AJ Foyt Chevrolets. I think it's Tony Kanaan. And Chilton gets through. Kanaan's teammate Lace is in the car. And Simon Pagenaud, the Indy 500 champ, is in that.
Let's see how this all starts. You got Bourdais shooting up the inside, but further back, I think that's Simon Pagenaud making a lunge on Marcus Ericsson, and then Rosenquist and Power and all of these guys get together.
Yeah, Pagenaud ran into the back of his teammate Power, and then Kanaan came in there and drop kicked Pagenaud and flattened the rim. So it all kind of really started from Simon kind of stuffing slices and dices through there.
So when Power checked up, that sort of caused Ericsson, and they got into a ward, and then Pagenaud tried to slow down, but Kanaan was coming through and got into the back of Pagenaud. So just the accordion effect is tough to really single out anybody in that situation.
How about Rosenquist? He was bicycling it.
Arrow McLaren cars.
Let's have a listen to some recent radio. There's someone running slow there. That's Tony Kanaan. Very slow in the Bryant Chevrolet.
Some kind of issue there.
Oh, you hate to see that for Tony Kanaan. In the AJ Foyt racing crew, he was so excited to get back.
Sounds like he has no power. Didn't look like he got up high or hit anything, got into the wall. Just it's off song, it looks like.
Now here's a replay of Tony Kanaan. You see him up there at the top of the screen, top right. Just got high, got up in the gray, and he just barely got it, PT.
Yeah, just got up in the gray.
Look at Will Power in the black and red Verizon car. Ready?
Not the back,
yellow. Daly, Fittipaldi.
Daly's upside down, I believe.
That was a real slow start. Guys started spinning their tires up. Daly's right side up now, but this is devastating for these guys here at the back.
Bourdais in it.
Somebody turned sideways.
Fittipaldi.
Fittipaldi got into the back of Bourdais and turned him, and then it was just a melee from there on. So
Dalton Kellett. Look at Tony Kanaan to the left of your screen, trying to tiptoe through all of that debris. And watch the purple and black. Purple car is Pietro Fittipaldi. He went into the Rocket Chevrolet of Sebastian Bourdais. There's Connor Daly.
And that happens, guys, it happens so fast, and you're hard on the power, and